This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain in our newsroom.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes.
Well, early voters headed to the ballot box today just 1 week ahead of the Newfoundland and Labrador election. Advanced polling stations are open for another 2 hours for those eager to vote as well as those who were not so eager. Here Now's Meg Roberts is at one of those polling stations in St. John's East, Kitty-Vitty. So Meg, what have you been hearing today?
Well, today we are getting a little taste of what could come next Thursday. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That's the game some people were playing at the advanced polls today. Heidi Murphy feels like none of the provincial leaders did a good job at securing her vote. She says their lack of enthusiasm and policies for change did not leave her impressed, and she wasn't alone.
A bit torn, a bit confused, definitely conflicted when I voted. Not quite sure who to vote for, especially for my generation. I don't feel like they're targeting us whatsoever, so, but I still wanted to come out and vote because I felt it was really important, but I was still torn sitting down there.
Well, I don't necessarily see someone who I can really champion behind and really motivating and being that strong, that strong leader. But I'm voting for the candidate who's going to represent me, not necessarily the leader.
I haven't heard anything new. I haven't heard anything exciting. And I'm pretty much made up my mind, but I'm just hoping for the best.
One recent poll said 39% of respondents hadn't decided who they were voting for yet. Those polls also indicated a close race between the Liberals and PCs, which could come as good news to those who want to see a minority government.
I think it's dangerous to give, particularly at this time, with all of the major issues facing us, to give one party a blank slate and a clear run at, I think, in some cases, running roughshod over democracy.
We only have 40 people in the House, that it would force the people to get out from behind their colors and work together as human beings with a common goal, which is the province.
Now, there were some signs of disorganization at the polling station I'm at here at Kitty-Vitty East. Staff says about 3/4 of people coming in do not have their voter cards. I spoke with someone with Elections Newfoundland and Labrador. They said that all the voter cards went out to the voters list. They're saying that it might be an issue with the mailing process. Now, voter card or no voter card, the advanced polling ends at 8 p.m. tonight, so you have plenty of time to get down and vote. Reporting live in St. John's, I'm Meg Roberts for Here and Now.
Well, a new poll out today has the provincial PCs and Liberals nearly tied in support among decided and leaning voters. The Forum Research poll shows 42% support for the PCs, with the Liberals at 40%. The New Democrats hold 13% support, while 6% selected other. Now, the poll also shows over half the people surveyed disapprove of all three main party leaders. The poll suggested 63% of people disapprove of the job Dwight Ball has done as premier. For Ches Crosby, 55% disapprove of his abilities to lead the PC party. And for the NDP, 52% disapprove of Alison Coffin's job as leader. 856 people were surveyed in total. 777 identified as decided or leaning, and the margin of error is plus or minus 3%, 19 times out of 20.
Well, and on the heels of that tight poll that Carolyn mentioned, more money promised by the Liberals today. The party announced an increase in annual funding to Arts NL over the next 3 years. And this is the second financial commitment that's outside of the party's election platform. And that was released just a week and a half ago. Here now's Katie Breen joins us live now. So Katie, what's to be made of the timing of this?
Well, that's really the question. The Liberals put out a budget the day before they called this election, and the commitment announced today wasn't in that. Like you said, it also wasn't in the Red Book announced a week and a half ago.
Well, good morning, everyone.
Money for a hospice project in Grand Falls, Windsor yesterday. Today, more money for artists. The Liberal plan did have an extra $1 million in it for Arts NL this year, but committing $5 million in annual funding by 2022, that's new. When asked Why now? Why not in the party platform? Liberal candidate George Murphy couldn't say.
Well, now that would be a good question about the $5 million, so I'll have to get back to you with an answer on that one.
He says it's not a lukewarm reading in recent polls, it's a commitment to artists, one of whom, an NDP supporter, spoke up at the press conference today.
My question to you today, George, is do you plan to make cuts within the department in order to make these allocations available? And my second question would be, what has changed?
We obviously did a little bit better with our oil revenues than what was projected this year. Government has shown savings along the way, and I guess they redirected some money towards that.
Artists started campaigning for an increase in funding months ago. Prominent people came on board and lobbied government. And the artist scheduled to speak today, at least, was thrilled by the commitment.
I didn't make anything of the timing of the announcement. I think all three major parties have put this in their platform.
They have. The NDP and the PC said they'd up arts funding to $5 million if elected. They printed that in their platforms. And Murphy's former boss could be heard criticizing all this today from the back of the room.
Why didn't they have this in their red book? If they really believed it, why did they wait until after our platform came out saying $5 million over 3 years? We've been committed to the arts community from day one as a party. We will continue to be. And I'm really disgusted with the government saying, oh, there's nothing to this timing. Oh, yeah, there is.
Now, it's worth noting here that George Murphy is running against the NDP's new leader, Alison Coffin. The party, of course, is trying to keep St. John's East Kitty-Vitty orange and keep Murphy out. Now, here's what PC leader Ches Crosby had to say about the announcement made today.
Well, that's nice, but it's not in their budget. So if their hearts were really in that, why didn't they put it in the budget document? They're copying our policy. That's fine. But people have to ask, how sincere is it?
So that's the arts. Thanks, Katie.
You're welcome.
That's Here and Now's Katie Breen reporting for us live tonight. And the Liberal leader made another commitment to voters today. Dwight Ball was in Botwood at the Dr. Hugh Tomey Health Centre, where he promised a Liberal government would reinstate 24/7 emergency room hours. He says other expansions in the centre make the move possible at no cost, and says the commitment has nothing to do with recent poll results.
Put in place a clear plan. We're in a place now where we can make those commitments. They will be delivered. There's no asterisks on those commitments. There's no asterisks that requires a 200-day budgetary appropriation, which Mr. Crosby is saying, by the way. So there is an asterisk. There are fine print within that is planned for the province. There's no fine print in this. We're now in a position, everything I'm talking about here today, in terms of the protective care unit, in terms of the Arts NL that you just mentioned, is well within the framework of our province.
Well, elsewhere on the campaign trail today, a proposed end-of-life care centre wins commitments from both Liberals and Tories. The board of the Lionel Kellen Hospice Project has been trying to get government buy-in for years. And yesterday, Liberal leader Dwight Ball promised more than $1 million to the cause, and the Progressive Conservative Party said in its Blue Book that it would work with the group. The centre is based in Grand Falls, Windsor, and it would be the first hospice centre in Newfoundland and Labrador.
And it'll have the environment. You'll soon see the suite, which is gives the image of what an environment should look like for a person in the palliative phase. And it's not an institutional environment. It's a very home-like environment, and with all the supports around.
Can downtown businesses survive the big dig? Rocket Bakery says customers are way down, and they're worried about this place still being here when construction ends.
Well, we woke up to some white stuff on the ground for most of the Avalon today, but I kept hearing May snow brings or is good for sore eyes, so there's that. So definitely, if you wanted those double-digit temperatures, though, you had to head down towards the southwestern portion of the province, or rather the island, and then Happy Valley Goose Bay reached a high near 10 degrees along the northeast coast. We still have those cooler temperatures, and you can see we can thank a northeasterly flow, which is very evident on that satellite there, and that is going to continue as we head through the night tonight. So we're going to see some drizzle, likely that fog along the northeastern portion of the island. And then eventually we're going to see some clearing tomorrow. We can thank a ridge of high pressure for that. Most of the clearing action, though, will be along the west and south coast, and then again up through Labrador into the afternoon tomorrow. As far as temperatures go, though, overnight tonight we're going to be sitting between 0 and 1 degree for the most part. Those northerly winds still hanging around on the northeast coast, with that chance of either flurries or showers overnight. We could even see some freezing drizzle along the coast, and that's very much true along coastal Labrador as well, with those light winds hovering around the 0 degree mark for Cartwright. Heading a little bit further west, though, Happy Valley, Goose Bay, clear skies tonight, -2, and then Lab City, same thing, with those light winds and 1 degree. Now looking ahead, there might be a little bit more snow in the forecast, but I'll have all those details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, new numbers suggest more young people in this province are hospitalized for mental illnesses than anywhere else in the country. The Canadian Institute of Health Information studied people ages 5 to 25 and found over a decade hospitalizations for mental health have increased by 65%. Hospital stays, for all other reasons dropped by 24%. That data is being backed up by local psychologists, and the most recent report from the Harris Centre, which found that the top 3 reasons people are visiting the ER are anxiety, substance abuse, and mood disorders. Well, in other news tonight, a big change is coming to the Catholic Church. The Pope is now making it mandatory for clerics to report any instance of sexual abuse. The decree says that every Roman Catholic diocese in the world must set up a system to report abuse, and anyone can complain directly to the Vatican. The move comes as the Pope tries to tackle widespread instances of sexual abuse and cover-ups within the Church. And the federal government has signed an agreement with Indigenous leaders in New Brunswick. They will begin discussions about a Mi'kmaq claim to 1/3 of that province.
It is about recognition of rights, respect, cooperation, partnership, but it also is very much the really important work of moving to self-determination.
Indigenous Relations Minister Carolyn Bennett signed the Memorandum of Understanding today with Chief Aaron Sauk of the Elsipogtog First Nation. After protests over shale gas exploration turned violent in 2013, a land claim was filed on behalf of all Mi'kmaq people to almost the entire southeastern part of New Brunswick, including the city of Moncton. In addition to self-government, they want the right to protect the environment and manage natural resources in the region.
Still to come after Ashley's weather, we'll explain why emergency officials rushed to this building in Paradise last night and immediately urged workers to seek medical treatment. Welcome back to our newsroom as we get the here and now set ready for election night. Police officers from across the province are being recognized for their work to stop impaired driving in our province. 16 members of the RCMP and RNC received the first annual Nick Coates Awards today. In an emotionally charged ceremony in St. John's, officers were recognized for the work that they have done to stop impaired driving. Officers who took more than 8 alcohol or drug-impaired drivers off the roads in the last year were awarded medals to recognize their work. Nick Coates was killed in St. John's by an alcohol-impaired driver in 2013, and his stepmother, Patricia Hines Coates, and father, Terry Coates, were on hand to present the awards.
And this award, in honor of Nicholas and all victims of impaired driving, is a way to say thank you for putting yourselves at risk every single day, getting out there, stopping these impaired drivers before they injure or kill someone, and helping us heal as we go through. So today we celebrate Nicholas's life and everything that he was, and we do so to honor each of you for everything that you do every single day.
Well, it means a lot to be recognized, like, as a police officer for the work we do in the community, but even more than that, it means a lot hearing the Coates family story and the personal stories and how much it means to them for the work we're doing. That means so much more to me. It means a lot.
Up to 30 workers were told to seek medical treatment last night after the building they were working in had a carbon monoxide problem. The scare happened at St. Anne's Industrial Park in Paradise at the Armored Transportation Systems building. It was evacuated at around 6:30, and after realizing the problem they had, emergency crews started contacting workers who had gone home an hour before and told them they should go to the Health Sciences Center to get assessed. There were no serious injuries.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Order your tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Well, as I mentioned before, a little bit of a cool start to the day and continued to be cool across most of the island. 2 degrees in St. John's right now, Twillingate only hovering around 0. And if you want those double-digit temperatures, you got to head down to Port aux Basques. 10 degrees right now, same up through Happy Valley Goose Bay, and we can thank that northeast flow. So here's a look at the satellite and radar. We're seeing some of that drizzle and fog continuing as we head through the overnight tonight. And then tomorrow, ridge of high pressure moves in, pretty weak though, but we will likely see those clearing skies. Plenty of sunshine along the west and south coast tomorrow, and that will eventually spread a little bit further east as we head towards the afternoon hours for the island. Then the next weather system makes its way in, especially for western Labrador. We're going to see that cloud cover push in with that potential for some showers, and then eventually a mix of sun and cloud for the rest of the Big Land. Now, as far as those temperatures go, we should be hovering around the single digits. A little bit warmer again for the southern half of the Avalon. Not too warm though, sitting in the mid-single digits. Marystown should reach a high near 12 degrees tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. And then again, going to continue at least through the first half of the day with that rain, drizzle, and fog along the northeast coast. Grand Falls, Windsor should reach those double-digit temperatures, as well as Harbour Breton, Gander, likely only hovering around 5 degrees with that potential for drizzle and then staying cloudy into the afternoon. Plenty of sunshine as we head towards the west coast. Corner Brook 12 degrees, 11 in Port aux Basques, 12 in Grosse Morne as well. Then Humber Valley sitting around 13 degrees as we head north for the northern peninsula, though. Cooler temperatures, and we're seeing that along the Labrador coast as well. 3 degrees in Cartwright with drizzle. Freezing drizzle likely to start the day. Same thing up through Nain and Makkovik as well as we reach a temperature near 1 degree. Warm again for Happy Valley Goose Bay of 9 degrees in there for you. And then another cool day for Lab City. So 5 degrees, again, rain to start. And then that's going to change over to snow as that system continues to track a little bit further west into Saturday night. So it's just off the map here, but you can see where that snow is. And as that rain continues to track for the island, we're going to see that move in through the day. So temperatures will be a lot cooler as well with that rain. 2 degrees for Port aux Basques, 9 in Corner Brook, and then plenty of sunshine, it looks like, for Gander, at least going to see the sunshine for Gander, 8 degrees. Happy Valley Goose Bay, another warm one again for Saturday, so beautiful start to the day, 10 degrees, and then 2 for Nain. Now, I have snow in the forecast for most of the southern half of the island, and that's because the next system that rolls in wraps around some colder air with it. So if we zoom in a little bit, you can see this model is showing snow by Sunday morning. Not going to put a number out there because it keeps changing, but we could see some accumulation for sure with this one. Hopefully it continues to track a little bit further south, and then we don't even have to talk about it over the next couple of days. But as we head into Monday, though, we will eventually start to see some clearing. We get into a more settled pattern there. So here's a look at the next 5 days. Clearing skies likely tomorrow, at least a few peaks of sun towards the evening hours. 4 degrees should be the afternoon high. Going to stay in those single digits, though, right through the weekend, with again that snow Saturday night continuing through to Sunday morning, and then eventually going to see some clearing. Some showers possible for Monday morning as well, and then Tuesday it looks like that sun will finally come out, and looking ahead the trend is to warm up, so hopefully we'll start to see some warmer temperatures, and I definitely have that in the forecast for central Newfoundland. 16 degrees by Tuesday, so once we get through the weekend with a little bit of not nice weather, we will eventually see that sunshine, it looks like, on Tuesday. And then for western Newfoundland, same thing tomorrow. What we saw today, double-digit temperatures, hopefully reaching a high near 12 degrees. Rain on Saturday, same through Sunday morning. Again, with those overnight temperatures between 1 and 0 degrees, we could see some snow, and then it looks like plenty of sunshine for Monday and Tuesday with temperatures in the teens, which is around seasonal for this time of year. For eastern Labrador, just a few cloudy periods tomorrow, except along the coast where you'll likely see some drizzle and fog tomorrow morning. Saturday, 10 degrees, and then going to hang out in that 10 to 12 degree range at the beginning of next week. And then for western Labrador as well, rain changing to snow tomorrow, snow on Saturday. As I mentioned, some accumulation, and then we'll get into that sunshine for Monday and Tuesday. So let's look at your forecast.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, a popular business in downtown St. John says it needs help to survive the big dig. Rocket Bakery is right in the middle of the Water Street construction zone, and customers have been keeping their distance. The owners wonder if the bakery will still be there when construction ends. Here and now, Zach Gowdy has more.
Monday morning at Rocket Bakery, prime time for people grabbing a coffee on the way to work or getting a bite of breakfast. The bread and butter of a business like this. But business is a little slow. It's been like that a lot lately.
Well, business is down. You know, we're down about a third, so in general, and so I think that was reflected in the number of people that came in this morning. Yeah, it's definitely quieter.
Quieter inside the bakery, outside, not so much. Rocket is located smack in the middle of the Water Street construction zone, a massive tear-up to replace a century-old sewer system. The work needs to be done, but after nearly 6 weeks, Rocket is getting left in the dust.
We feel like we're doing everything right, and then something like this happens, and it just sort of takes the legs out from under you. So I'm trying to cope with it, and I get so many positive vibes off our customers that helps me to be on the floor talking to people.
I talked to people about braving the construction to come downtown.
It was a challenge, yeah, that's the way to say it. And I was really surprised about how navigating the sidewalks and the detours and the signs, it was, I mean, you would think it'd be pretty straightforward, but it wasn't easy.
It was all right. It's kind of like you're going through like a maze a little bit, you know, like trying to work around all the construction going on and everything.
It's just one of those things that it has to be done, and it's unfortunate that businesses and people have to suffer because of it, I suppose, a little bit anyway.
The sidewalks are really not safe. You know, you're walking on those and you're not sure. You're likely to fall in a hole or something.
The work is scheduled to wrap up by July 1st, but that's a long time to survive a slump. The owners of Rocket are worried they won't make it to the end of the road.
It is scary for us. We are doing everything we can to keep it going, but it really depends on our community right now. Like, we're really hoping that the community will come out for us.
To get the word out, Rocket has begun posting on Instagram with the hashtag #EveryCookieCounts. It's a message that people are starting to hear.
The downtown is so important to our culture, to St. John's. If we're not supporting that, then, you know, people, small businesses, big businesses alike, we won't survive what happens at the end of it.
But even if Rocket can keep this wolf from the door, there's something bigger lurking. An exodus of corporate offices from downtown St. John's, the surrounding towers teeming with vacancies. Hundreds of workers have left this year alone, now buying their coffees and lunches somewhere else. But the big picture doesn't scare Kelly Mansell. She says if Rocket can survive the big dig, it can survive anything.
I know it's going to be difficult. I know that it's a transition period right now, but I have every faith that downtown will thrive, and we're going to be here with it.
Zach Gowdy, CBC News, St. John's.
It's an emotional day on the stand of the Muskrat Falls inquiry. Don De La Rospil was Astaldi Canada's on-site project manager at the Muskrat Falls site. Now, when the Astaldi contract was terminated, workers were ordered off that site, and De La Rospil testified today about how difficult it was telling 600 people that they were out of a job.
Are you telling me that you're going to get it? He says, we reviewed various correspondence between Nalcor and Astaldi and have noted.
Do you want me to come back to that?
You know, in life there's better ways of doing things, and there's a right way of doing things.
the people that work on the job actually give up their lives, right?
Are you still employed with Astaldi Canada?
I was asked that I might cross for the arbitration. My lawyer told me that's none of your business. So
Well, I'm going to ask you now.
So I'm going to ask the question, so you won't have to ask it. So are you still, or I'm going to ask both of you, are you still both employed with Astaldi Canada?
I am still employed with Astaldi Canada and intend to remain employed with Astaldi Canada to see this through.
In other news, the Toronto neurosurgeon who murdered his wife 2 years ago is going to spend at least 14 years in prison. Elena Frick was also a doctor. Mohammed Shamji pleaded guilty last month to second-degree murder for killing her.
There was no penalty that this court could give him that will ever justify what Mo has done to Elena, to us, and especially to the children. The children still cannot bear to have their mother maintained because it's so painful to them.
Well, the family of Elena Frick gave emotional statements outside the court after today's sentencing. Shamji attacked and killed his wife in their home after she filed for divorce. A second-degree murder conviction comes with an automatic life sentence.
Well, a tiny error is turning out to be an expensive mistake for Australia's central bank, a $2.3 billion mistake.
Well, hey, let me go and draw some out, and hopefully I've got one.
Now, in the background of the $50 bill is the word responsibility. It's difficult to see with the naked eye, but the word is spelled out incorrectly, not just once, but 3 times. The bill features Edith Cowan, the first female elected to Australia's parliament, and the mistake is made in an excerpt from one of her speeches. Now, for some, it makes the bill extra special. 46 million bills are in circulation since last October with the typo, but the bank maintains the bills may still be used as legal tender, and they're taking responsibility for the mistake. The word will be corrected the next time the bills are printed.
There's a talent shortage in the technology sector here, and having that get supported now at the younger age fix the problem long term.
Undecided heads back to school to talk tech.
The industry is growing and looking to hire people in this province.
While a poll out this week suggests that most voters are concerned about, you guessed it, jobs.
Hi, I'm Bailey White, and this is Undecided. We're here at Vanier Elementary in St. John's, and who knows, maybe the future premier is here in this room. But today we're going to talk about the future of the economy. You know, so much of our economy is tied up in global factors that we have no control over, whether it's mining or oil or even fishing. But there's a new sector emerging in this province, and it's emerging fast. I'm talking about the tech sector. And today we're going to talk about how to grow that sector and what the next government might consider to make that happen. We have two guests today, and I'll ask you to introduce yourselves.
Sure. So I'm Kendra McDonald, and I'm the CEO of the relatively recently formed Canada's Ocean Supercluster.
Awesome. And I'm Adam Keating, co-founder and CEO of Collab Software.
So when we talk about the tech sector, to me, it sounds a little bit overwhelming, a little bit confounding. Like, that's a huge, the tech sector. I think maybe it'd be useful for you to tell me a little bit about your day jobs. Like, what's a day in the life of Adam look like?
So it's interesting. I mean, technology in a sense is just an enabling factor. You'll have companies like our company that is purely building software, whereas technology could be just applied to an everyday business, whether it's digitizing your brand or having a website or helping people find you through an app. Technology is a pretty broad subject, and I don't think it needs to be intimidating. It can apply to pretty much just about anything you do, whether you're, like you mentioned, a traditional company in energy, all the way down to a small business that's 2 or 3 people. There's some application where tech can kind of help you there.
Kendra, what's your day look like?
So my day probably looks completely different. So the Ocean Supercluster is essentially trying to strengthen or grow the ocean economy in Canada. And really a lot of the areas of growth are around digitizing oceans. So autonomous vehicles and robotics and digital twin. And so the Supercluster has what's called their Technology Leadership Program. And what we're looking at actually is it's an industry-led program, but it's matching dollars between industry and federal government, investing in bold new ideas that are innovative and in a lot of cases bring technology into solving the challenges of oceans across sectors. So my job these days is really to talk about that, explain what it is that we're doing, work with companies in terms of generating those ideas so that we can fund new ideas and grow the Canadian economy.
So it's consumer products, research. I know like server farms. I'm from Labrador, a lot of server farms, things like that up there. What else? What don't I know about?
So I think, you know, it's important for me. So one of my other hats is I am chair of the Newfoundland and Labrador Association of Technology Industries. Technology as an enabler. So if you look at the world today and pick any industry, they are looking at figuring out how to adopt more technology, how to digitize, how to be more connected, how to do things in a different way. And so that's driving a lot of the demand for technology. And so you think about tourism, for example. How are you more connected as a tourist? How do you get your information in advance? How do you make sure you've got all your booking references? How do you post the pictures on Instagram and Facebook of your tourism experience? And so it's really thinking about what is generating the demand for tech is that all of these more traditional industries are thinking about how to be more digital.
Yeah, and it's the same for us. Like, we build a collaboration platform that helps engineering teams streamline their design review process. And that came from engineering teams in manufacturing looking for a solution to digitize what they do on a day-to-day, to help them be more efficient, to help them reduce costs and time. And it's the same thing, right? It could be traveling, it could be something super engineering focused, or it could be something as simple as you're trying to find the next place you want to eat. It's happening literally everywhere, and it's cool to see it really start to pick up in the province.
How big is this industry? You talk about it picking up. I mean, how many people are already here doing this kind of thing?
Newfoundland is definitely growing. We started this company 2 years ago. I think even in just 2 years, we've seen a substantial change. It's still fairly small compared to other places in the world, but you're seeing this everywhere now happen. Companies that 5 years ago would never have talked about a digitization strategy is now one of their key pillars. Something like the Ocean Supercluster, for the federal government to put basically $1 billion behind 4 or 5 superclusters and have all these companies put their money behind it, shows you that everyone's committed to whatever piece of technology is most relevant for the region.
So the tech sector itself here, we had our Innovation Tech Summit on Monday, so 1.6 billion. We've got over 4,000. I think that number is even bigger.
1.6 billion.
And that is how we measure the tech sector, right? So if you look at that, it is fairly substantial and it is growing.
Is that dollars?
Yes.
Generate?
Yes,
Wow,
that's
$1.6 billion.
Yeah.
in this province?
Yes.
Wow.
So it is not insubstantial in terms of the economy, and when you think about the opportunity, it's even greater when you look at these trends and the opportunity that Newfoundland and Labrador has to be able to benefit from them.
Do you get the sense that the general public is aware of this? That this is happening in our own backyard?
So we're trying, right? So I would say no. I think it's easier to get, I have, my daughter is in grade 4 as well, and when I look at them talking about careers, it's a lot easier to get your head around more traditional careers. She talks about bakers and being a firefighter and a police officer or a teacher, but when you start talking about being a software engineer, or you start talking about being a coder, or you're going to manage a robot, or those are non-traditional careers, and so just getting the word out around the opportunity to work around the world but live in Newfoundland and Labrador, there's more work to do.
Yeah, I think like for me the biggest thing is enabling people to realize they can do this type of thing. So we travel, I spent the last month in places like California and Detroit and Toronto. And there's a lot of smart people there, but there's no reason that people here can't be doing the same thing. You're seeing it happen at the university level. You're seeing it happen here with these kids today. These kids will be ahead of 4th graders in other places that aren't doing this. There's no reason that anybody from Newfoundland can't be doing these exact same things.
But why do it here? I mean, Adam, it sounds like what you're doing could be done from anywhere in the world. Is there an advantage to doing it in Newfoundland and Labrador?
Yeah, I think Newfoundland is just a special place in terms of culture. We actually have a couple of companies now coming to Newfoundland to meet with us because they think it's a cool place and they like the people here. And no matter where we travel, you always find people who just have a great respect for Newfoundlanders. And the thing that's true about that is you have things like the Ocean Supercluster, you have things like NATI and ACOA and NRC and the Entrepreneurship Center at MUN, Genesis Center. It's such a small community that they're all trying to help you. So when you go to a big place like Silicon Valley, there's a lot of things attractive about being there. When you're here, you have a lot of attention. It's a lot easier to start something, and people truly just want to help you succeed. So starting something is actually pretty easy here in Newfoundland. Getting into the next stage is where the help needs to come in, and think about how do we grow companies from the size of ours to something as big as Verifin is now, to then the next step, which would be competing on a global level with something like Google.
And Kendra, maybe it makes more sense for the Ocean Supercluster to be right on the ocean. I get that.
Right. Yeah, so for sure, and when you look at Atlantic Canada, I mean, you look at Canada in general, we have an ocean advantage, and you look at Atlantic Canada, you look at Newfoundland and Labrador, you know, we've got some world-class assets in terms of some of the institutions that we have here and the opportunity, and then we've got, you know, offshore oil and gas, aquaculture. We actually have a fairly good representation across some of the ocean sectors, and so this is an opportunity for the tech sector to really engage, and we know that there's a real interest for tech companies to understand more about offshore oil and gas as an example and their needs. I would argue the same probably for aquaculture and fisheries, and the same for all of those industries. They really want to work with the tech sector here, but there's more to do in terms of helping them to understand the opportunity. So if you're developing artificial intelligence, how do you think about fish as an application? How do you think about what it means to be on the water versus on land?
You talked about more to do, and Adam, you talked about sort of getting to that next level. I think that's a good place to take a break. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about moving to that next stage and how to really keep this growth going. This is Undecided. Welcome back to Undecided. I'm Bailey White. We're talking today about the tech sector and how to grow that industry. So we talked about where things stand right now and maybe some of the surprising elements that the general public don't know about. But what do you need? What would help grow this industry even further in Newfoundland and Labrador? Adam?
I think the first thing is just awareness. Knowing that as a kid in grade 4 or someone in high school or someone going into a new job that you can do these things. And that is not a daunting task. I mean, when we started at university, it was only 7 years ago. I had no idea this was even an option. Talk to kids now. I recently had a high school kid reach out to me. He was interested in doing tech in grade 11. He's now the second lead developer on the university Hyperloop team. Knowing that you can do these types of things is the first thing. And the second part is helping kids. It's helping people who want to transition between careers actually make that transition. I think organizations like Natty do a good job of that. And there's people like the Entrepreneurship Center at MUN and Genesis that really give you the opportunity, but not enough people know about these places.
Yeah, and I mean, it's helping also our traditional industries understand the opportunity that technology presents. So if you look at Hacking Health and the health initiative over the last couple of years and how that has changed the conversation around technology solutions with clinicians and others across the health sector, it's been amazing in terms of what that has generated from a technology perspective. So we can replicate that with other industries in the province in terms of really understanding the potential that technology brings to their businesses.
I find it so interesting that you, Adam, would say, just 7 years ago, starting university, you didn't realize this was an option. Mm-hmm. And obviously, that is becoming less and less true all the time. Like, would you make this mandatory? Should this be a mandatory class?
I think the basics of technology, it's more of a technical literacy thing. I mean, having children be able to understand how to use a computer, how to use a phone, so that when they're in a different city in the world, they can find the things they need. So that if someone is somewhere else, they can call an Uber, like just basic things. Teaching kids that at a young age is going to encourage them to do things like robotics and do more complicated things. They're going to get into traditional jobs, but they'll think about it from a technical perspective. And that's when it starts to change. Right now, it's more of a forcing function from groups like us and companies that are here trying to help people. But once the kids start coming through and they're saying, I want to do this, it makes a huge difference. This Hyperloop team at MUN just brought 70 new members on completely organically.
And who are they? Like 70 new?
Freshmen, sophomore students at the university who heard a cool story about the previous team and said, you know what, I want to do that. And when you see that start to happen organically, that's when it starts to become like a viral impact in the province.
I think part of it too is understanding that technology is solving real problems. So coding is one thing in terms of the language of technology, but for some that's like learning English or learning French, right, in terms of basic communication. How do you understand what that means for, I was in Germany, I'm traveling a lot recently, I think it was Germany, and they were talking about how they're now educating kids around distribution. So how do you follow a piece of soap from where it's actually created? How does it make the entire journey all the way into your house, and how much different technology actually touches that process? And there's several examples of that, so then it makes it real, and then you can relate to that and think about what it means for you.
Are there things that, let's say, the next provincial government could do that would make it easier to start a tech company here, to have a startup here? Are there things that would smooth this out and make it go faster, make it go smoother, make it happen? Kendra?
Yeah, so I mean, I think there have been things that we've seen in terms of the tech sector work plan. I think that government certainly plays a big role as a procurer of technology, right? So we have seen in the past that how government procures and their willingness to work with the local startup community and give them opportunities then creates a story that can be leveraged for that business as they move along. I think they play a role certainly in terms of supporting the education and making sure that we're communicating across the education system. And so those are a couple of key ways that they can help.
Yeah. I think for me it's more so just continuing to support these groups who are trying to make a difference, whether it's Brilliant Labs, whether it's one of the organizations, supporting that, helping people consolidate it so people understand the bigger breadth of what technology is in the province. We talk a lot about technology in the sense of like a startup like CoLab. There's also a lot of technology that can be applied to traditional small business here that would make a massive impact. So helping companies like that understand their opportunity, I think is important. Secondary piece for me would just be helping people get the skills they need to be able to help companies like ours. There's a talent shortage in the technology sector here, and having that get supported now at a younger age will fix the problem long term.
So what would that look like?
Teaching kids like these awesome kids here how to code, getting into high schools and showing them there's an option to actually do this, bringing them in front of some of these cool tech companies that are in the province and saying like, this is where you could literally work. I think all those things are super important, and just supporting these programs. Like we've had awesome support from almost every organization in this province. I think that just needs to be replicated more broadly now, because we found those pieces and worked our way through that web. But if you understand it and it's clear that, okay, you're starting a company, here are the 5 things you can do to be successful, to at least start, it makes it a lot easier for people to take that jump and do that.
It sounds like what you need is buy-in from leadership, buy-in from people who make those decisions.
Well, the big thing with something like buy-in is it cuts down on the red tape. When you're a startup or you're a small business, you don't have a lot of money and you don't have a lot of time. So having little red tape when it comes to something like this and the support makes it super easy to say Newfoundland is a realistic place to start a company and then grow it quickly.
Yeah, I think buy-in starts with understanding, so making sure that there's a real understanding of what the opportunity is, both for government itself in terms of being able to leverage technology, but also for the more traditional industries that we have seen a lot of focus on and what technology can bring to those as well.
So do you think that there is that understanding? I don't want to pick on anybody, but do people get it? Do people understand what they're dealing with here, the potential?
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah.
It's on the horizon. I think it starts every time you have one of these announcements or another event, it starts to become another piece. It's starting to get it. But it needs, like, to fix it long term, it needs to start at the younger ages. Like, everyone is starting to use their phone for everything now. Kids should know how to do basic things, no different. They know how to read and write. And then it makes everything easier.
Time now to play a game I like to call Fantasy Premier. So I want to know what you, in your industry, in your sector, need from a leader. What's the ideal leader look like, and what do you need, basically?
So I think we have seen in other jurisdictions that where you have a tech-savvy leader, that really drives the conversation around tech, where they're truly thinking about tech first, where they're thinking about digital by design. And so I think for us, we would really benefit from that. And we talked about talent shortage. Like, we have an aging demographic, and technology is a critical part of the solution for the future productivity and economic prosperity of the province. So I think really understanding that is critical to leadership.
Yeah, I think taking someone that can get out, listen, learn to the ones that are working really well, and start to figure out how to replicate that at government level. It's hard. Like, the experience is not necessarily going to be there in this province, but there are people who get it here. And listening to those people who understand how it works is no different than myself as a founder, listening to mentors in the community who taught me how to do things. I think it's just being able to go out and take your guard down and say, okay, these kids need to learn how to do these things. These startups need this help. These traditional companies need this help. How do we actually do that and make it a priority? I think that's really the most you can ask for at this point.
It's easy to sort of get hemmed in when you're talking about elections to think about the next 4 years, but forget the next 4 years. Like, what do you think 10 years down the road, 2029, what does this industry look like in Newfoundland and Labrador?
So I'll comment in one area. If you think about the future of offshore oil and gas or aquaculture as an example, so I'll take an ocean example, that will be a world of remote monitoring. So we're going to see less resources that are on platform. We're going to see more of the monitoring that is being done remotely. And so that is a whole different set of skills in terms of sensors, in terms of the robotics, in terms of the technology. And so that is where the world is heading. And so thinking through what do we want our role to be in that world as an example.
Yeah, I think even just something, even like a step with that is like, even as you go through this, people are now starting to take iPads on the site. Everything is digital. A couple years behind in the province in some places, but I think that's picking up quickly. And you're going to start seeing everything being tied together, because the efficiency you get from having a digital solution that is easy to work with, whether you're an internal company, external groups, that's truly all integrated. You see that on the worker front, but then also as a business, the value you're going to get is huge. So that's what all these things are around. It's all around efficiencies. It's around safety, saving money, time, all those types of things. You'll probably see some pretty cool tech in 10 years in this province.
I want to thank you both for joining me. Class dismissed.
Awesome. Thank you.
And thank you for watching. We'll be back in a couple days with more Undecided.
Time now to quickly check in with reporter Meg Roberts, who's at a polling station in St. John's East Kitty Vitty. So Meg, many voters coming by?
Well, staff is telling me it's been pretty steady. They've seen more people come through the front doors than they thought they would. Now, of course, we don't have any official numbers yet, but you've got one more hour to get down to the advanced polling booths. But if not, this is all in lead up of the big event, the election. That's May 16th. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Meg. Of course, we'll all be heading to the polls 1 week from today. Hard to believe the campaign has moved this quickly.
Absolutely. It's just around the corner now.
There we go. All right, Friday tomorrow, so we'll check out who's celebrating birthdays and anniversaries, and of course, have all your news, campaign and non-campaign related. We'll see you then.
Good night, everyone.